Hey, legends, thank you for coming on and spending a little bit of time listening to me talk shit, but with amazing people on my podcast. As you guys may have seen through social media, I've had a lot of problems with my hosting recently, and a lot of people charging me a lot of money to host it because all you guys apparently keep watching this and enjoying it. No, honestly, thank you so much for jumping on. Now, the best way to support this podcast in continuing and staying free, as it'll always be free, is there will be a link in the description where you can buy merch if you'd want or to support the show. And if you can't find that, because I don't really know anything about tech, it's at teespring.com/stores/Willy-merch. If you Google Teespring Willy merch, let's hope you'll find it. Otherwise, message me and we'll find it. A massive thank you and a shout out to Tactical Recovery. You've probably seen all my meatloaf-fueled sessions online that I end up lighting some candles, putting my flamingo sunnies on, and end up in the bath. A lot of that is actually in support as well by Tactical Recovery. They make magnesium-based recovery salts, both in a spray and that you put in the bath. I reckon the bath ones are the go. That's for me anyway. It gets me naked at least. From them, $1 from every single transaction goes straight into Legacy Australia that's supporting frontline forces, their mental health and every other way possible. They put that they're also the only brand officially and unofficially allowed to call people champs, and they're not fucking sorry. But also there's another promo code, which is promo code Salty Willy, which gives you 20% off as soon as you buy anything. But also with that, you get 20% off, and $5 from whatever transaction that was is pledged to brain cancer research. So that's promo code Salty Willy. Also, apparently on the grapevine, there's 2 new products coming out. So keep an eye on all their social medias. It's Tactical Recovery. Any questions, I say shoot them through as well. As always, stay salty, champs. Massive thank you as well to the sponsor, Bang Gang. They're all ex-ADF, Canadian Armed Forces and US Army, as well as a mix of freelance PMCs, private military contractors, who love shooting, drinking, talking shit, as we all do, and coming up with ways to piss off all the anti-gunners, and they love going against the grain of political correctness and to have a fucking laugh. They've been tossing around the idea of a clothing line for well over a year now, and they've decided to pull the pin and start dropping designs, which are fucking sick. They aim to release a new design every 6 to 8 weeks, COVID pending. They also own the company Ozcan Tactical, which is a parent company specialising in making aftermarket parts for Glocks and customising all firearms in general. These guys, they tag me in a lot of their stuff, so if you look on my tag on Instagram, you'll be able to find them. But otherwise, they're online as the Bang Gang. And lastly, we have Second Rodeo. They've sent their own audio, so it makes this job even easier for old Willy. So it'll be here, and straight after that, the podcast will run. Thanks, guys.
Second Rodeo Clothing. We ain't your average country brand. We're living life like a country song because country music's in our blood and our wardrobe. Shop online at secondrodeoclothing.com and follow Second Rodeo Clothing on Facebook and Instagram for the latest look.
It's the Willy Show.
How are you?
Yeah, good, mate. Yourself?
Yeah, really well, man. Really, thanks for coming on. I really appreciate this, man, especially last minute.
Not much to do at the moment, is there?
Fucking oath, I can see the bike all pulled down behind you there.
Yeah, that's about all. We can ride again as of tomorrow over here, so...
So you're New South Wales, are you? Or?
Yeah, on the border, New South Wales, Victoria, Albury-Wodonga.
Yeah, because I know a couple of guys who were cracking the shits over not being able to ride, but people could do stuff.
Yeah.
I did. I'm a veteran myself, and I did the Simpson Desert double crossing late last year with Soldier on board.
I know yeah.
And all those dudes, like a lot of them New South Wales based, are all cracking the shits about we can't ride. This is fucked.
Yeah, it is fucked.
But I saw it. I saw it all got lifted. Well, to keep within 1.5 metre spacing on a bike's a bit of a hard thing.
Yeah, it is. Well, because it's only fucking 10 hours ride to your place, so I would have ridden across if I could have got across the border.
Really?
Yeah, because then my wife and I Googled her up last night, and you still got to go into quarantine when you cross into South Australia. So
yeah, fuck.
Yeah.
Well, man, honestly, of course, this is our first podcast together, but whether it's, later in the year or, around your Dakar time, absolutely, man. We're welcome to come cruise across and do it in the studio here with me.
for sure. Yeah.
But fuck yeah. So look, let's just jump straight into it. Like, it's not official. And like, I always say to people, don't worry. Like my audience is mainly like vets and some of the boys. So if you swear and drink beer and whatever, don't worry, man. Yeah, trust me, you probably won't be as bad as me carrying on. Anyway.
No, all good.
Yeah, so Andrew, it's Houlihan, your last name. Is that how you
pronounce it? That's right. Yeah, Houlihan, that's correct. Yep.
Yeah, because I wrote it down with 2 O's thinking, well, I'm pretty sure that's how I'll write it how I'll pronounce it.
Yeah.
Otherwise I'll say something stupid. So basically, like as far as you're in training at the moment to race the Dakar Rally.
That's right, yep. 2021.
2021. Yeah. Has this year's been, or has it been called off?
No, it's still going ahead. Well, they're planning to run it in January in Saudi Arabia. So they've just released all the dates and the lead-up events. So they've pushed a few events back to, I think, October.
Yep.
And they're planning on a couple of qualifying event in October in Morocco. And then the Dakar starts 2nd or 3rd of January in Saudi.
Yeah, and
it all comes.
Yeah.
It all comes down to whether we can leave the country or not. So what Australia's travel restrictions are. Yeah.
Bloody hell! And is this its 2nd or 3rd year in Saudi Arabia?
This will be its 2nd. So they ran it this January in Saudi. Next year will be the 2nd year. And
how did it all go last year? Because I did hear some stuff on the news. Like I normally watch like the highlights every night when it's on.
Yep.
But I'm not fully in the mix about like all the politics and everything. Because I heard there was problems with, say, like women not wearing headscarves and everything in the rally. But I'm not familiar with it.
Yeah, well, we'd actually looked at doing it last year and decided to do the Africa Eco race, the original Dakar, instead. And there was probably about 20 guys, regular Dakar riders, that done the Eco race. And from all reports, I think we made the right decision.
Mm-hmm.
What we heard was, being the first year in Saudi, they were a bit cautious, so it wasn't as hard as previous Dakars. The logistics and everything they said was great. I didn't hear too much about, people didn't say too much about Saudi's history with human rights and the way they treat women, so I can't really comment on that. But they said it was a good event, but just it definitely wasn't as hard as previous events. Yet the Africa Eco race that we did, which is from Monaco to Dakar, it was friggin' hard.
So how long was that one?
That's a 12-day race, so it's pretty much the same distance as Dakar, but it traces the original route, the original Paris to Dakar, or the original through Morocco and Mauritania and Senegal. So
yeah, that's fucking awesome.
It was fucked up.
Yeah, I bet. Yeah. And how do you sort of prepare facing down, say it's 12 to 15 hour days on the bike and everything? Like, as far as, other than your like logistics, as far as mentally, like actually preparing this is going to be fucking really tough.
Yeah. Look, I talked to a lot of guys who've done it, and maybe you might know Scotty Britnell. So Scotty's helped me out. He helped me up a fair bit with what to expect, but I just ride the bike. I'm fucked up. I'm 51. I've had a couple of knee replacements, both knees replaced, so I can't do any training other than on the bike. So all my time's just spent on the bike. Like I said, to ride across to Adelaide to you in a day is nothing. I'll go for a ride and do 900 or 1,000 k's a day in the dirt on a bike, and then that's the only way I can train physically. So mentally, I just talked to guys who have done it before, and now I've done, I think it's 6 or 7 overseas rallies, big ones. I'm surrounded by a lot of good qualified people. Yeah.
Fucking hell, it's quite a bloody achievement, from, my minimal dirt bike experience. People think, you sit there and twist the throttle. It's fucking physical as shit. And once you're talking about those hours on a bike, fucking hell.
We always comment, you hear and I'm not taking it away from the footy players or the tennis players and that, but they sit there and go, oh fuck, we need to have a break after a couple of hours. We've got to recover we've got another game or another match in a week. We're on the bike for 12 hours a day, up our waist in sand, digging it out with our hands. If we're lucky, we get 4 hours sleep a night, and we do this for 12 hours straight. So, and you just, what it's like on a dirt bike in the sand, you are just punished. And every day in the eco race, I can compare every day in the eco race was like doing a double crossing of the Simpson every day.
Yeah,
that's what it was like. So yeah.
Fucking, I know how much the riders on ours struggled fucking doing the double in 5 days. That was fucking savage for guys.
Yeah, no, we had sand, like the Simpsons a breeze in the park compared to the sand in Mauritania and Morocco. So
yeah, fucking I have a couple of mates. Did you ride in Morocco with our mutual friend Mark Doreen?
Yeah, no, that was in Mongolia.
Mongolia?
Yeah.
Okay,
yeah. So I went to Mongolia with Mark, 2017, I think. Yeah, and spent 3 or 4 weeks over there with Mark. Yeah.
Yeah, because I saw him put up some drone footage of it yesterday. It looked fucking epic.
Yeah, that Mongolia was great. It was epic. Yeah.
Yeah, and do you run into many problems over there with like getting, because it's sure as hell not Australia, like getting good fuel and everything for the bikes? Because I've heard a lot of guys say they've struggled to get like your 98 octane. They're just getting whatever you'll have, and so it's just shit.
That's right. You pretty much got to take what you can get, but. Touch wood, we've never had any fuel problems. Even in Mongolia with Mark, we didn't. We were warned about it, but no fuel problems, thankfully.
Yeah, fuck, that's all right. Now, probably because I was doing a bit of research on yourself, mainly by Googling your fucking name, as I think everyone does these days, about an accident in Greece you've had. I'm not even sure how long it was. I didn't write back. You'll be able to tell me when it was. But we ended up with a fractured neck and punctured your lungs. Yeah,
that was my first, when I decided to have a go at the rally racing. We I had no experience, no idea what I was fucking doing. So my wife and I just decided, let's go over to the biggest race in Europe and have a crack. So with
as you fucking do.
Yeah, we didn't know anyone. So we found a team on the internet where we hired service and a bike, and it's a 7-day race in Greece. Had a ball, and then on the last day I had a pretty unfortunate accident and spent a month in hospital in Greece before I could be medically flown back to Australia. So I had a fractured neck, 9 broken ribs, fractured sternum, collarbone, right arm. Pretty much my whole upper body was fractured, very badly punctured lung. I was in a pretty bad way for quite a while, and then I got flown back to St Vincent's Hospital in Melbourne. I was in there for a while, and then back to Albury for rehab. Fucking
hell. Do you mind running us through the crash? Like what actually happened?
It was the last day of the race there's 100 k's to go on the 7th day of the race. And I'd been going a lot better than what I'd thought. And it was 250 riders. I was running in, between 20th and 35th position for the whole race, which I was getting pretty excited by. And I'd made some bad decisions on the second last day and dropped a few spots. And I tried to make some time up on the last day. I'm just fucking stupid. 100 k's to go, and I just took off in the last stage as fast as I possibly could. And, there was a guy on another bike who'd got lost with the navigation, and he just doubled back. He was doing everything right, sitting on his 30 kilometres an hour. And I hit him on a blind corner, but I would have been doing 120. I hit him head on. Even though he was going the wrong way, it was probably my fault for just going flat out for no reason. And he had similar injuries, but he was from Italy, so he got into a low altitude flight and flown back to Italy. And I woke up in hospital 2 days later in Patras, in a Greek hospital with very limited medical facilities.
Yeah, I bet. Fucking hell, well, it sounds like you're fucking lucky to be alive.
Yeah, it was pretty fucked up for the first day there. But I was lucky. I was there. My wife was over there watching the race, so she stayed. She just slept in a chair at the end of the bed for a month in the Greek hospital because the hospital had it's pretty much a third world Greek, Greek with its financial problems. So this hospital had no air conditioning, no heating, no cold water, no drinking water. It was and I was stuck in a room with 6 others, and my wife pretty much had to sort of care for me until we got a doctor over from Australia.
Yeah.
But it opened my eyes up to a lot of things and how lucky you really are when I looked at the other patients in the room, and we made a lot of friends from that, and it led to the Dakar.
Yeah, so put us sort of fill me in on that, on how that all happened, because you're with a Swiss team, the Nomads, is that correct?
Yeah, that's right. Well, that's who we got the service off at that when I had the accident. So we made so many close friends from that accident and met so many people at the rally. And I think I was in hospital. I just got back to Australia and I was rehabilitating here. And then there was we decided, the rally racing was for us. And there was another race in Spain early the next year. We thought we'll go back to Spain and have another crack. And then we got contacted by the owner of the team from Switzerland, and he just said, "Are you interested in doing Dakar? We want to take 2 riders to Dakar." And my wife and I just said, "Fuck yeah, let's do it." So we went back and raced in Spain, and then talked about it there and come up with a plan that we'd do Dakar in 2021. And that's how it all eventuated. So from that plan, I spent most of last year backwards and forwards between Europe and Africa and Australia, just getting enough experience to be able to go to Dakar. We thought if we're going to do it, we'll do it properly. A lot of people just go to Dakar and want to do it once. We want to go back as many times as we can, and we want to be competitive too. So I've spent a lot of time in Africa training, racing, and same as Europe.
Fucking hell, it's quite a bloody thing. And is the team sponsoring you to go?
The team, as such, I've got some good sponsors here in Australia, and Coca-Cola Energy in Europe.
Yeah, Jesus,
they've come on as a sponsor. But we're still funding, financial sponsorship's very hard to get.
Yeah.
We've got a few companies in Australia that are looking after us, but we're still funding a lot of it ourselves. So it's, as you can imagine, eco rate, just that race in January that we just did, that cost like 104 grand just to do that fucking one race. So it's not a cheap pastime, as I suppose any motorsport's the same.
Yeah, fucking A. And I think a lot of people underestimate the price of even like motocross racing, that a motocross bike, you're looking at, you around your $10,000 mark.
Yep.
But then people go, oh, that's not that bad. And then, well, actually, if you race competitively a year, you're going to be at the $100,000 mark at your local track.
Exactly. Well, I raced motocross for 20 years, and it's actually got nothing financially on this rally racing. Well, the bike you can see behind me, I just bought that. And fuck, that's the bike I raced at Dakar. That was 60 grand.
Really?
Just for the bike. Yeah. Or
and
58 grand.
A KTM 5 something or?
No, it's a KTM 450 factory rally bike. So I bought one overseas to race at the Eco Race, and I'm hoping I've just sold that one to free some money up to help pay for this one behind me.
Fucking hell. And what sort of differences are you looking at between like your EXC 450 and then your factory level 450?
And no comparison at all. Like I've also got a Sherco 450 overseas that I race in Europe.
Yep.
And it always, I like the sand, and I ride the Sherco or the EXC style bike pretty well. But last year we had a race in Morocco, and I got the fucking better of me. Why are all these blokes on the rally bike so much quicker in the big dunes, like the 200 and 300 metre high dunes? And I thought the smaller bike would be easier. And then I went into the Eco Race, never having ridden the bike. I bought the rally bike, and the minute we hit the first section of dunes, it was It just made everything so much easier. I can't describe how much easier they are to ride. They're just torquey. They handle big hits. They're comfortable. They're just a completely different bike. And until you ride one, you go, fuck, that's a lot of money for a bike. And then you ride it and you go, well, I can see why I've just paid that sort of money for that.
Yeah, fucking A. And I guess KTM's very, dominative at the moment, especially in the rally circuit.
Well, they are, and these bikes are that hard to get. I was lucky to fluke this one because the one I bought overseas was 2 years old.
Yeah,
and it was still an amazing bike. But I've only just put 500 k's on this bike before the lockdown, and it's better again. So
how do you go about getting one? Is it like, an ex-factory riders one, like say like Tony Price is freeing up one or something, or
yeah, they make, I think it's like 70 a year are built worldwide. Australia only bring 5 or 6 or 7 in, and they're pre-sold 12 or 18 months in advance.
Yeah.
And I bought a second one off a race team overseas, and this one just happened to pop up just after I got back from Africa. I'd been back for 2 weeks, and a mate of mine who'd just done Dakar ordered one 18 months ago, and it arrived, and he said, I'll give this guy at KTM a call. And I rang a guy, and he said, yeah, we might have one available. Sent him all my details, and he rang back and said, yeah, pay a deposit today and it's yours.
Yeah, Jesus.
So, yeah, I think that they may have had someone pull out of a sale or something like that, but I just happened to fluke a bike that, that I would have struggled to get anywhere. So
yeah, that's fucking epic, man. That's that's like a lifelong dream for a lot of people to ride a factory level bike.
Yeah, it is, and it is. Like I said, you just can't describe the type of bike it is compared to other bikes. It's fucking amazing.
Yeah, and I guess at that top end, you're looking at, Rider has, still, it's a motorbike sport. Rider still has a massive influence, but at that top end, the level of your equipment influences how the rider is. That, 6 days in, you're just that 5% less fatigued because of better suspension, or you're not as bogged as much. That just makes the massive differences over the course of the rally.
Well, it does. And the race I was talking about previously in Morocco was Rally du Morocco. I did in last October, and I did. That's I think it was a 6-day race, and it's a world championship round. And I did that on my Sherco, and after 4 days I was fucked, and I was physically fucked, and I didn't start to hit the wall in the eco race until maybe day 10. I still had 2 days to go, and I just started to get a bit fatigued then. So, and I think a lot of that was due to the bike. It was just a lot easier to ride.
Yeah, well, if you start dropping the bike a bit, we saw this in the desert. Guys drop the bike and you lift it up, and after 10, we had guys, I think, coming in at 16 hours on day one, who had never ridden in sand of any, like not in any sort of sand, and more than an hour and a half out in the paddock. And you're picking up that bike, you're pretty rough on it, and guys were just fucking hanging out exhausted. We left 3 or 4. Well, I think guys went to collect them, but I'm not 100% sure. We left like 3 DRs out in the desert. Guys, we couldn't carry them back. We didn't. Our support vehicles were mainly medical, and we had no real way to load the vehicles with a bike, but just the people, and we left them out there. And it was just guys that fragged. It just, they'd literally take off. You'd hit not even like a bull dust patch, just a bit of sand, and they were off. And you just that fragged.
Well, in the eco race, it was like that. Actually, one of my teammates, we had an Indian guy on our team, and he got stuck they left in the dunes, the big dunes in Mauritania. He was there overnight for 15 hours in the dunes waiting for help. Yeah. And then the support, and these were big dunes, like the support truck got to him that had to smash its way through the dunes. I think he said it went at like 6 kilometres an hour. So he spent another 18 hours in the support truck getting back. So he had a 30-hour stint stuck in the dunes. But there was a lot of riders stuck in big dunes overnight.
Yeah.
That they just got buried there. They couldn't get out. So
yeah, I guess there's a point at which you're just like, oh, fucked here.
yeah.
Well,
I I had a day there in Mauritania. I think I would have been on my hands and knees. The bike was buried to the, over the wheels maybe 10 times in big dunes. And you're just there on your hands and knees, dragging the fucking thing out or dragging it down the face of a 50-metre dune to the bottom to have another go.
Yeah.
And that was a regular occurrence. But I was one of the, probably in the upper end of the field at the eco race. So we'd be in by 6 o'clock at night. You'd go to bed at midnight and then you'd still see bikes starting to roll in there at midnight in the middle of the African desert. And you'd think, fuck, they've done it hard.
Yeah, they've got to get up the next morning and do the same thing again.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
It's funny that the quicker you are, the more less, and like the quicker you are, the fitter you'll be. Yet the more sleep you get. It's fucking cruel for those middle to back of pack guys.
Yeah, well, we're waking up in the morning over there. It's -1 degrees for the first 3 or 4 hours, and then by the end of the day, it's fucking nearly 40 degrees in the desert. So it's just a big shock to your system.
Yeah, oh fuck, I bet. That up and down temperature that we had that when I was in the Middle East. You get a lot of that, and even that alone really fucking knocks you around. Especially if you're out in aircon where it's, some sort of, moderate temperature the whole time. If your body's going from -1 or whatever to 40 in the day, that alone fatigues the fuck out of you.
Yeah, well, after about day 6 or 7, when we got into Mauritania, you didn't know what day it was because it was like Groundhog Day. You wake up, get on the bike, all you knew you were going to be buried in sand all day. You'd come in, fucking get off, try and eat, then you check your bike, get your road book, then it'd be midnight and you'd be laying down to go to bed. Next thing you know, you're fucking up, getting your gear on. So every day just blended in. Even on day 11 or 12, you still weren't sure if that was your last day. You were that fucked. So
it is almost easier because I know it's like this. If you head out for a couple of weeks, like with the army, to not count your days, you just sort of, I'll be up tomorrow just doing my thing. And if once you start counting and you realise you're fucked by day 2 and you're like, fuck, I've got 10 to go, is it easier almost just to let yourself go into the fully immerse yourself into that exercise you're doing or the race and just let it fucking play out how it will and it'll finish eventually?
That's what it was like. It was that's exactly what my teammate and I did. We just didn't give a fuck. In the end, we just thought we could be doing this for a month. We just didn't know. Yeah. We didn't know what day it was. You didn't even know how many days you'd done. So yeah, you're right. That's exactly what we did. Just let every day start, and if you finished, it was a bonus.
Jesus, it's a savage thing. As you've got sort of more proficient at your fucking enduro racing, have you noticed sort of what you're carrying due to experiences is changing as the amount of, I know there probably is, you need to carry a minimal amount of kit, but have you found that, you're carrying more medical supplies or more or less water or something? How's it changed?
No, look, I've always been pretty good with that, with a real minimal amount of kit, but being very cross my T's and dotted the I's with everything I take. And this probably all started when I went to Mongolia with Mark. I had probably one of the lightest bikes there and the least amount of kit, but I had everything I needed. So I've always been really good with that. And every time I go, I try and take less. But I've got the minimal amount of stuff, but all the right stuff.
Yeah, that's the way to be, because it's one of those grams games, isn't it? Every extra fucking gram on the bike's something you're picking up at the other end.
Yeah, but then you also got to make sure if something goes wrong, you've got the gear to fix it or fix your bike. So, and because out here in Australia, when I ride a lot, mainly by myself, because I'm doing fucking big days in the desert and I'm isolated, so I've got to make sure when and if something goes wrong, I can get out of that situation. And yeah, I'm fairly confident I can do that now. So
And have you ever had any of those, like something go wrong and you're in the middle of nowhere, like, well, fuck, what do I do
Yeah,
now?
fucking couple of times.
Couple-
Second day of the race in Morocco, I had a fuel pump go on the bike, and I was just a bit. Usually, I can fix something like that instantly, but I was stuck in the middle of the Moroccan desert, and I spent an hour trying to fix the bike and finally got it going. But I thought I was fucked there. Another time, we went across a big salt pan in Mauritania, and we only varied maybe because we run off compass bearings, cap headings when we're riding, and we must have veered maybe half a degree over 50 kilometres, and we were lost and out of petrol, and there was three of us totally fucking had no idea where we were, all wanting to go in different directions. We sat there for an hour in the race trying to come up with a plan of what to do. I've been stuck out in Australia a few times where the bike's broken down and I've had to find a way out. But now
in Mauritania, what did you end up doing?
I said I wanted to go one way. I convinced them all to go the way I want, and we rode. One of the guys actually ran out of petrol, and we had to leave him behind. So he called a helicopter in, and they dropped fuel off to him and gave him a penalty and told him the right compass bearing to go to the fuel stop. Matt, the other guy that was with me, we just kept riding in what we thought was the right direction. We came across another lost rider, and then we ended up finding, the three of us found the right track, and we rolled into the fuel dump with maybe fucking 2 or 3 kilometres left in our bikes. So I think you just got to be a little bit calculated in what you do out there, and not make a rash decision, which is easy to do when you're stuck in the middle of nowhere. And the thing that we found, and maybe you can relate to this, when we're going through Mauritania and some of those countries in Morocco, you're sort of warned about the terrorist threat. If you do get lost, just to be careful, because we're verging on borders of Algeria and I think it's Mali and some of those places. So there's terrorist activity there. So that's always in the back of your mind when you're on the bike. You're stuck out there by yourself, and you do see a fucking ute come past, or in the middle of nowhere, some bloke holding a machine gun in the middle of the African desert, and that sort of puts the wind up here a bit when you're in a race and you go, what the fuck's this guy doing out here with a machine gun? Or you're going over a 200-metre high sand dune, and all you can see sand dunes, and then a dude pops up holding a gun in the middle of nowhere. That's sort of spooks you a bit too.
Oh, fucking, I bet. There's not many other white guys on $75 KTM screaming around.
No. Well, actually, a good story was we were blasting through this big canyon full of sand, and my fucking mate was in front of me, and a woman popped up out of nowhere, covered in all the African dress, and tried to flag him down. And I thought, he rode around her, and I got to her, and she ran at me, and I rode around her. And then another Aussie guy that was in the race, he fucking stopped to see what she wanted, and she tried to pull him off the bike, rip him off the bike, and he ended up pushing her away and getting out of there. But and we are warned about those sort of things, but you don't know. When you're in those countries where you go through the poverty-stricken areas, and you think, fuck, you want to stop and help them, but then you don't know what the fuck they're up to either. So
yeah, and I guess it's really, what are you really going to be able to do?
Nothing. That's it.
Fuck, you're not the UN.
No.
We were the same, man. I spent 9 months in Afghan, and fuck, I'd love to help all the kids, but Kabul, where I was, is 10 million people. It's bigger than Sydney. And it's just slum, and it's like, you wish you could help, but what are you actually going to be able to impact versus putting yourself or someone else in danger?
Yep, so, that's it.
Fuck, but that shit is hard. A lot of people have never experienced proper third world. That say with this isolation shit at the moment, and the supermarkets being a little bit empty, and it's like, well, a lot of people experience far worse than this every day on a good day.
Exactly, and that's I've been fortunate that my wife has travelled a lot with me, and she spent some time in Africa late last year when we were over there training. She actually come and trained in one of the Dakar buggies, and we stayed in a place called Urfad, which is just full-blown fucking Muslim, head to toe fucking black capes everywhere, and my wife is quite an attractive woman, and walking through there, they're just fucking all staring at her, and she was really uncomfortable for the first couple of days. I think she was there for 3 or 4 weeks with me, and by the end, she worked out, how to approach the situation. But she really got to see how the other half fucking lives over there, and how intimidating it can be in an African country.
Yeah, fucking A. And I always seen it's pretty hard to be a feminist in Australia.
Yeah.
Go over there or go to the Middle East, like Afghan or something, and then come back and tell me about equality. Yep. Well,
yeah.
We've witnessed people get stoned to death for their fucking being flying off. Like, fuck off.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it was quite a good fucking eye opener. But I've been there a few times now to train, and the good thing about it is over there, and I found with Australians, every country I've been to, they fucking love Australia. If you say you're from Australia, they fucking love you.
Yeah, man, we found the same in Afghan. We'd pull up our vehicles in a convoy and we'd be out, whatever. Yep. And all the people would be sort of withheld, and they'd be Americans, but no, we're Australian. And then the whole thing would change. Like, oh, fucking, who cares?
Exactly. Like,
And I've done it. You go.
We actually got told not to say, if they ask you anything about America, don't fucking say you're from America in Africa. So but the difference they treated us, even compared to the French and everything else, Australia, they just wanted to know fucking everything about us. It was great.
Yeah, I always say that, like, especially like, even across Europe where I've traveled mostly, it's like, well, we never really, it's not the same as a lot of the other countries invading or whatever. Australia had a lot of input in wars and everything, but we were always sort of, fighting for people's freedom. It was never like a real personal grudge against people. We were never there bombing cities and civilian targets. So I reckon I'd say Australia, as far as liked across the world, no one really hates Australia. Maybe like North Korea, but they fuck off.
Yeah, fuck man.
Yeah, and currently China, but that's a whole other thing. And what is, if you don't mind me asking, you obviously ride and travel a shitload on the bike.
Yep.
You and your wife traveling.
Yep.
What was how have you managed to maintain that, as far as like, what did you do before this to like sort of have the funding to do it? Yeah,
look, we're both self-employed. We've got business in Albury Wodonga, but I've had to be the main business I've had that for 32 years now. So I think I started it when I was 19 or something like that. And we've got really good staff back here when we're away in our businesses, but in saying that, we can still work remotely when we're away. So we're really lucky in that regard. I obviously travel a lot more than my wife, so she looks after a lot of stuff while I'm away, and makes a point that I don't get told anything while I'm away that happens, just in case it impacts on me while I'm riding. But we're lucky. We've got great staff. Yeah, that's fucking epic. Yeah. That's awesome. But we still. Has COVID hit you guys that much, or is it? A little bit. Our manufacturing engineering business, it hasn't. We're still really busy in that. The other business we've got is a caravan dealership. It's hit us a bit reasonably hard there, and we've just reopened the doors this week on that. But maybe people are going to have to travel in Australia now. So hopefully we can sell a few fucking caravans. Yeah, well, apparently international travel is banned for the rest of the year. That's all I've heard. I know, and that's where it's going to fuck me. Especially, I think we've wiped the events in October and November in Africa. It's just going to be wait and see what happens with Dakar in early January. So we're continuing along the path that we will be allowed to travel and have everything ready. And it's just wait and see what happens. Yeah, I guess, you got to train as if it is happening, and if it gets postponed, pushed back or something. Yeah. And what makes somewhere like Africa such a hotspot for this riding? Because there's no rules or regulations. You can pretty much they can have a race through the middle of fucking anywhere. And, you know, our liaison or our stages that aren't timed are through little villages, you know. So, yeah, I think it's just the regulation. Even in Europe, some of the races we do in Europe, in Spain and Greece, the rules and regulations and the laws there are so relaxed. But definitely in Africa, the laws are so much more relaxed.
Because that's what ended up happening to the Australian safari, wasn't it? That it ended up getting that sort of that amount of legalities that it ended up becoming too expensive to even run.
Yeah, well, they've got now the Sunraysia Safari, which has replaced the Australian one, and that's on in early September. And I'm hoping to do that. A pretty good chance I'll do it if we can't travel. But even so, you look at the cost to enter a race in Australia it's almost cheaper to fly to Greece. And that's why we picked Hellas for the first rally. So we looked at the cost of doing some events here and we thought, fuck, we can go and do like one of the big world championship rounds or a world-class rally for the same price or a comparable price as what you can in Australia.
Yeah.
And have access to the right people and get the right information. Not saying that we don't have it here, but it's definitely the cost over here is a lot more than what it is overseas.
Yeah, that's with fucking everything as well.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Some places are a bit of a nanny state. Thank fuck you don't live in like Victoria. And you're probably fucked.
Well, pretty much fucking do. I'm only 100 metres from the border, so
yeah. We as kids we used to go riding up on the New South Wales side of Mildura.
Yep.
Out on the major stations out there.
Yeah.
So that's my sort of exposure to limited to even doing anything like that. But that's like up to the Hatter fucking rally, whatever it is.
Hatter Desert.
Yeah,
Hatter Desert. Yeah. I've done Hatter a few times. Yeah. Yeah, I think I've done Hatter 3 or 4 times. So back when I was younger.
Yeah. Now you're into the big leagues.
Yeah. I wish I had done this 10 years ago, not when I'm fucking 51. So
yeah, and how does that affect you?
It's like although I say I can't train much, was I had my left knee replaced. Just total replacement just before I went to Mongolia with Mark. And then last year I went back to Greece to race. And the week before I left Australia to race, my fucking right knee collapsed. A week before I went and seen the surgeon. He said, it's fucked. You need to get a total replacement on this one. So my wife and I, we flew back to Greece and took the kids to meet everyone that looked after me the year before when I had my bad accident. And we got to Greece and stupidly I decided to race when we got there. I was on crutches. Yeah. And so I decided to race and fucking on the third day, you won't believe this, I hit a rock in the dust and fucking punctured my lung again.
Oh, bullsh, same one?
Yeah, same one. Broke my ribs and punctured my lung and ended up in a hospital in, where was it? Fucking Carpenesi. And anyway, my wife and kids, they wanted to put another tube in the chest like previously, and we said no. And I checked out of hospital, and my wife and kids flew home, and I couldn't fly. So I just stayed in Athens for a week in a hotel until I found a private hospital that done a scan, and I said, you're probably right to fly. So I flew back home. I was only home for not even 2 weeks, 10 days I was home. And the surgeon fucking got me in and done a total right knee replacement on the right knee. But what had fucked me up there was I'd already paid my entry fees for a couple of big races in Africa in October.
Mm. And so I had looking for that.
I think I'd paid it was about 50 grand for a couple of races. So and they're non-refundable. Mm. So I had my total right knee replacement, and I had 8 weeks to recover before I flew to Africa. And so I pretty much had the knee replaced. Told my surgeon what was going on, and he said, "Oh fuck," same thing he always says. He says, "I know you're going to go." So I was nearly 8 weeks to the day after the replacement. I was on a plane to Morocco, and spent a month in Morocco racing and training, and the knees held up, fortunately.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
That's dad's strength at its finest.
Yeah. So, and I've just, when I got back from the UK race, I've just had some ankle surgery, and I've got some more surgery booked in Melbourne as soon as they can, to get my right thumb pinned and fused back together. These are all still injuries from that big accident 2 years ago in Hellers.
Jesus Christ. The fucking did you sort of have a thought of sort of giving up after that, or was it?
No, not at all. Not at all. It's never been in my mind. I've got a lot more metal in my body other than my titanium knees. So I figure that the longer I can remain active and stay in good shape, the better I'm going to be. I think the minute I stop doing something, I'll be fucked.
Yeah.
So but it's never been an option not to do something. I've got a fairly bad competitive side to me that it's probably been my downfall a few times. So, but I've given up's not really an option. So.
And what is, because this shit's obviously fucking dangerous. Like, I'm not sure on the deaths, but it's at least, I don't know, one a year die at Dakar.
Oh, fuck. There was two died at Dakar this year.
Yeah.
And when I had my ankle surgery done, I missed out on the race in Spain, the Hispania Rally, which I did last year. One of my Spanish mates died in that race on the second day. He hit a car on the freeway in the liaison stage, like 5Ks into the race. The sun was in his eyes. Quite an experienced rider, which was sad. But yeah, there was 2 dead at Dakar this year. At the eco race, we had 4 very bad accidents. Really bad. 2 ended up in, I think one ended up in an induced coma. The race in Morocco last year, there was some bad accidents too. Yeah.
And what does your family think of that with you doing it? Like, obviously, I know they, of course, they know what you love, but it's fucking dangerous.
Yeah, my wife and kids are so supportive. I've got 2 kids, 17 and 16, both really sports orientated. So they grew up around a motocross track, and even when I raced motocross, I was getting fucked up quite a bit. I broke my back twice, and my left arm up to my elbows all metal. I broke my neck also racing motocross as well. So my kids have seen it since they're young, and they're just as competitive as me. So they understand it, and they're very supportive. And my wife just loves it. That's a whole new, the rally side of things overseas. It's like we've created a second family overseas in Europe. So when we race, we travel together. We're only a small team, but really close. It's like a second family that we have over there, and she just loves the whole side of that too.
Yeah, I was going to ask that. Is there like a sort of partners sort of almost party as well, that it's like you guys are off riding and then all the rest of the partners are, doing their own thing, and they sort of all get to know each other and go from
there? It's a little bit different to that. A lot of the partners don't travel. So on my team, or the owner of the team, Hernan, his partner never travels, but Katie actually, she helps out at all when she's there. She's like a part of our team, so she's fucking, when we come in at the end of the day, she's helping us get food, whatever we've got to do with the bike. She's there helping, like she's a part of our race team. And my other teammate Pablo, who lives in Spain, Katie's very good friends with his wife, so sometimes she'll go to Spain and stay with his wife, or but she's like our team do everything. Mechanic, she's just there on the ground for us. So that's good.
That's
but
right.
Yeah, she's still, there's other women there that race and other females there involved in the organisation, and she's just best mates with them as well.
Because it would be very easy for it to be the opposite, and just like, no, I'm not fucking I'm not fucking
Fuck
supporting
yeah.
you in this. You're in a hospital in
Well,
Greece for a month, you prick.
well, that's what I thought. When I got back, and I was fucked up, and I didn't know what was going to happen, and I with the psychological effect of the accident never really touched me, because we had to actually check out a hospital because they were trying to keep me in to do some tests to see if I was going to have PTSD or anything like that. So I was very lucky it hasn't touched Katie or I. And she, even after, I thought, fuck, she's going to put a stop to this. But no, the minute we mentioned going back to Spain and continuing riding, she was all for it.
Yeah, fuck, that's fucking awesome.
Yeah.
And the article that I was reading, I'm not even fucking sure who put it up, and I know how journalists always twist things. But you put up that you'll race until you're 60.
That's, I wanted. I see guys overseas that are fucking in their late 50s still racing at some of these events, and what am I, 50, just about turned 51 now. So pending no more major accidents or my knees collapsing, I want to at least till I'm 60. Yeah, at least.
Yeah, well, that was my next question. Was it at least, or is it at 60, I'm going to buy a Land Cruiser and a caravan and just fucking go and relax somewhere?
Yeah. No, we'll do this for as long as we can. It's just, well, until I run out of money, which is probably pretty fucking soon anyway. So, no, I've got no intentions to stop. I kept thinking that, because I've raced motocross so long, and although I was just an amateur rider, I keep wondering when I'm going to lose this competitive fucking streak in me, and it's just seems to get stronger every year. The more I thought it'd get less and less as I got older, but I just seem to be wanting more and more competition each year. So,
and do you reckon you've become a better rider, even just as far as the way you approach things as you've got a bit older?
Oh, definitely. Yeah, definitely. It's taken me 18 months now with the rally racing only just to not treat a race like a 5 or 6 day race like a motocross race. I was approaching, every race overseas, 5 or 6 days, every day I'd take off like I was in a 30-minute motocross race. And there's only just the Africa Rico race, or the race before that in Morocco, that I started to probably mature a bit and fucking slow down and realise that I'm on the bike for 12 hours a day for 5 days or 13 days straight or whatever, and have to change my approach. And I've really noticed a difference now. Yeah,
it's fucking epic. And you see that with a lot of endurance sports like that. And the one that I've sort of witnessed the most, I guess, is actually fucking Craig Lowndes, the V8 supercar driver.
Yeah.
Where you see everyone else at Bathurst in the last, 50 laps going for it. And you'll see him cruise around, one hand on the steering wheel, one hand on the gear shifter. Yep. And if they show you the heart rates, he's way lower than everyone else. It's just like he's driving laps still. And I guess, a lot of guys in that get better as they go. They're more mature. You're more, you don't have that. I guess a lot of people younger just see red. You sort of live and work off aggression, but 10 days in that won't work. You won't have it left.
No. And especially when you're fucking stuck on a 250 metre high sand dune that's nearly vertical and you're buried to your fucking seat. And when it previously happened to me, I used to go, oh, fuck, and you'd start panicking and you'd be fucked just from the panic. But now, I've found ways to deal with it and get the bike out and be relaxed and continue on at the same pace. So, I'm definitely dealing with it in a lot better way now.
Yeah, and I guess that the more experience you have at being exposed to those situations and shit going wrong, is just this has happened, but it's nothing different. We just got to do this and go.
It's the same as riding here in the outback. Like, I'll ride through the night. I couldn't give a fuck if it's day or night, if I can see or if I can't, because I do it all the time. And the kangaroos and the emus don't bother me. Like, I'm that alert and aware of them. I better be careful now I've said that, but I'm that alert and aware of them that I know that I'm just always looking for something to jump out in front of me. So, when I go for riding, mates come, oh, we're not riding till midnight. And it really doesn't faze me because I'm always anticipating that animal jumping out in front of me. So and I'm by myself. So yeah, it's just something that you get used to, I think.
Yeah, there's a point you just sort of got to relax into it, don't you?
Yeah. And I can ride along and be doing 140 or 150 k's on a dirt bike out in the desert and watch a kangaroo jump out in front of me and miss him by fucking millimeters, and I don't blink an eyelid.
Yeah.
I think, oh, fuck, I'll go, oh, fuck, that was close, and have a bit of a laugh to myself. You go, oh, fuck, what would have happened if I hit him? And then the next thing, there's another one jumping out and you're dodging them or you're looking for them. So it's just something you get used to, I think.
Yeah, fucking, it's definitely something you've got to sort of train into your brain. You can't just do it. It's repetitions of shit before you. And my closest experience is like in the Middle East, where the first couple of times you drive around the city, every fucking lump on the road you think's an IED. And then you just see the drivers just like, fuck. And after a while, it's like, look, if it happens, like with your kangaroo, if it happens, it happens. Just fucking drive around normally and, don't be fucking stupid.
Exactly. Yeah.
But, it's one of those things.
Well, and this is probably not the smartest thing to say, but that's the way I approach it. If I crash and I break my fucking arm or my leg or, I've had some bad injuries and I've recovered, and it's I think it's the way you approach it if something goes wrong. It's exactly like what you're going through now. It's how you approach things and how you deal with circumstances. So, and I always just go, fuck, I've been in pretty bad way before. I think if something happens, I've just got to deal with it.
Yeah, and it's like, and that's the whole thing is you're prepared to then just move on with it. It's not a panic.
Yeah. Exactly. I've done a lot of fucking things, and like you have at your age, you've done. I was watching some of your clips, and you've done a fucking hell of a lot for a 22-year-old as well. And at 51, I've done more than I could ever have dreamed of. So it's not saying that I've done everything, but fuck me dead, I'm prepared to take some calculated risks.
Yeah, and that's what all that shit is. It's not. The calculated risks, and riding a dirt bike is a calculated risk.
Yeah.
There is shit that's like dumb that is uncalculated.
But we're going to do that anyway at some stage. So
yeah. Well, riding like that without a helmet, that's that is going too far. It's when I've done everything I can, and if it happens, it's going to happen.
Fucking oath, it's going to happen.
It's like guys that used to jump with us out of the planes without helmets, and it's like once you're beyond like 500 jumps, you don't need to wear a helmet skydiving.
Yep.
The only reason you wear a helmet skydiving is if someone's ankle hits you or you smack the side of the plane, you knock yourself out. Yeah. And it's like, you can't prevent against that. Like your brain is the same as mine. That's a fucking stupid risk. And I the same. I got into skydiving to get into base jumping. And the first malfunction I had, and this is sort of you're losing your nerve, I guess.
Yeah.
The first major line twist I had on my chute at 1,000 feet, which is not high at all.
Yeah.
That denerved me, I reckon, for life of like, no, because if that happened, I would have been dead. Like that's not a, like skydiving, the worst, I ended up actually kicking it out and untwisting it and landing just in like a paddock. But once it's twisted, you can't steer the chute and it tends to steer you down a fair bit faster. At worst, if I didn't get it out, I probably would have just hit the ground and broke my leg. But I was like, that same shit, that same thing, which I had no control over, that's just how it opens.
Yep.
Would have steered me back into a building or under a bridge and killed me. And I'm like, yeah, no, that's fucked.
Yeah, that's a whole different level of fucked up.
Yeah, and I think people lose their nerve. You see it happen to guys in major accidents or whatever, lose a bit of nerve and it just goes.
Yeah, and that's one thing that I can't, until it's probably happened to you, you don't understand it. And before I went back to Africa or to Spain, and I just got out of hospital, and I had come out of hospital having this no fear thing that it didn't really worry me. So I actually went and seen her, spoke to someone to make sure that I wasn't totally fucked up. And she just said, no, there's people like that. Everyone's wired differently. And don't worry, you're not fucked. You are fucked up, but you're not fucked up like you think you are. It's some people just have that, the way you are. There's nothing wrong with it. Because I do have that no fear attitude, although I don't know if I could jump out of a fucking plane like you just said. But
it's a. I think a lot of it's identifying the risks and willing to accept a lot of it as well.
Yeah. No, I think you're right. That's it. I like to think I calculate a lot of things and think about a lot of things I do, but it's the same when you get on a motorbike and you put the helmet on. Your brain does shut off to a certain extent sometimes. So,
and it needs to, I guess, in a way.
Yeah.
If you were to think with all your IQ about, if you were to think about specifically what's happening, you wouldn't fucking be riding at 150 across the desert. You'd be like, I'm going to strap you to this that you can fall off in, a carbon fiber shell around your head. And there's all these risks. You wouldn't do it, but it's sort of shut off that little part of your brain and just this.
Yeah, well, if that was the case, your life would be fucked, wouldn't it? You wouldn't achieve anything.
No, you wouldn't stand out. You wouldn't step foot out of the fucking house.
No.
No. And one last thing I have to ask, because I've always fucking wondered this about, and I could Google it, but I've got you here. Is on like the Dakar Rally, they use almost like a paper roller as navigation.
Yep.
How the fuck does that link into like a GPS to give you the bearing once you reach a new one, or
no fucking way, mate?
It actually works.
Right. So you get the paper roll, and all that's on that paper roll is arrows and symbols and numbers. So the numbers are, it might say at 3.18 kilometres, make a right-hand turn at a compass bearing of 55 degrees.
Yeah.
But you might be in the sand dunes, and you get into the sand dunes and you've got to go at 55 degrees for fucking 10 kilometres, and you've got to follow that compass bearing or you get lost. But you can't ride over all these 300 metre high sand dunes. You've got to go round and you've got to get back onto that compass bearing. So it's a real mind game. You've got to think, you've got to pick a cloud and you get back and you've got to find reference points everywhere. So there's you've got no GPS there to guide you. So when you're lost, you're fucking lost.
Well, that's what I was thinking, because I know what it's like navigating out in the bush off a compass and a map. And I was like, fuck, doing that at sort of picking your distance by foot can be fucking hard enough, that you have different terrain. Like all soldiers will know, I take 108 steps in 100 metres. Count your steps, I've gone 1.3 Ks. And then turn on a bearing. But you're also doing that fucking slow. And I know what it's like once you hit, like walking across the desert, fucking easy, it's dead flat. But as soon as you hit, rough land, and you're taking 400 steps per 100 metres, you end up just blowing out. But you're moving so much slower.
That's exactly
like fanging across the desert.
Yeah, and we don't have a map. That's the thing. Our map is just an arrow with it might have a scribble that looks like a fucking hole or something on it. You've just got to be so switched on with your map and your distances, because it might say, like I said, it'll say left at 3.5 kilometres, but there's nothing there. There's no track to follow. So you're just going across sand or scrub with no track. So yeah, it's and that's the thing I love about it. It's a fucking such a big challenge to sit there and think, and you can get caught out by following someone else or following someone else's tracks. Then you get lost, and it's very difficult, the navigation.
And once you reach that, do you just sort of roll to the next one? And it's like, this is what's next.
On your you got a little switch on your handlebars that you scroll through the map. So you've got to operate that switch while you're on your handlebars, and you've got two called ICOs, which have your distance and your compass bearing. So you're looking at that. Then you've got another instrument mounted that shows you your waypoints and different alarms. So, you know, at 150 kilometres an hour, you're trying to read a map, read three other instruments, and navigate the terrain. So it's a pretty challenging exercise.
Yeah, fucking no shit. And where do you guys learn that? Like, of course, you know, I learned that stuff in military, but
Yep.
fuck, do you go to like a navigation training, or you just do it yourself?
Yep. You try and learn it yourself, or you experience it in a race. But that's why I go to Morocco. I do navigation training over there. So I've done a couple of stints in Morocco and surrounded myself with good guys. A guy called Gerard Ferrez, who's a Dakar legend. I think he's won Dakar in a car. He's come third on a bike. He's raced Dakar about 15 times. So he's become a good friend of mine, and he's helped me out with a lot of training and navigation training. So we do a lot of training with that.
Yeah. That shit's fucking, I know that shit's fucking hard walking.
Yeah.
I fucking could not imagine doing it, you know, on a bike.
Yeah. And the worst thing about it is because I make my own maps over here and train over here. We're pretty lucky overseas because the only thing you've got to dodge are camels, and they're big to see. So over here we've got emus, fucking sheep, goats, kangaroos. You got to slow down a bit in Australia. Yeah,
fucking hell. That's quite a fucking thing, man. Yeah. Well, look, I think unless there's anything else you want to talk about, I think we'll almost finish up. There's been an hour and a bit. I don't even know the time.
Oh, geez, it has been too. Yeah. Yeah.
Fuck knows. But man, actually, firstly, is there any sponsors or anything you want to fucking plug and reach out to?
Yeah, mate. Link Fire Australia. They're one of my financial sponsors down in Melbourne. They're great. Kruger Australia, RDX Moto, Aurora Rally, Yield Finance, Buzzers Bikes and Bits in Albury. They all look after me really well. And my team that I race for, Nomadis Adventure in Switzerland. And of course, Coca-Cola Energy, probably our biggest one.
Yeah, no shit, that's fucking awesome.
Yeah.
Oh man, well, honestly, Andrew, I really appreciate you coming on, man, and especially fucking last minute. I messaged you yesterday. And I was like, what are you doing? But I guess isolation.
No, when I seen what your cause is, Matt, it's fairly close to us too. I've had a good friend of mine. Brain cancer has affected my family in a couple of instances, and some close friends of mine just recently at a younger age too. So it's a pretty thing that's close to our family. Our family's hearts. So mate, whatever we can do to be involved and help what you're doing, we'd love to get involved.
Oh no, thanks, man. No, I really appreciate it. Well, it'll be all over socials and wherever as well. Everyone fucking sees it somewhere. Yeah. Unless the PM's fucking sprouting about me again.
I watched that one the other day.
Man, I've never copped so much shit from the boys in my life.
Yeah.
Like,
I can imagine.
Because everyone knows me. Well, it's Corporal Williams, but he accidentally combined Corporal and Matt and ended up saying Corporate Williams. So all the lads at work, righto, corporate. Like, fuck. No, that's fucking right. Well, man, we'll be watching out for you. And honestly, anytime you're across Adelaide Way.
Well, as soon as I can do some riding and cross the borders, there's a place in Adelaide called Goog's Track, which is like a 200 kilometre sort of sand dunes or straight. I'm going to shoot over and do that and shoot home. So we might catch up again, mate, for sure. Yeah,
for sure. And if fucking all your international shit this year gets canned, come do the Simpson with all the vets.
Yeah, well,
you fucking
I might do that. I've been on the Facebook page there, the Frontline Safari page. So we'll keep in touch. I might actually shoot up and try and get a ride in with you.
Yeah, either way, it's a fucking laugh. I'm sure you'd be one of the front runners or something anyway.
That'd be great, Matt. We'll keep in touch.
Easy. Thanks for that, man. I really appreciate your time.
Not a problem at all. Thanks, mate.
Thanks. Bye.